Hi, it is a daily dub, and I have no idea what day that this is going up, but we are filming it ahead of time because it's a Meet the Dubs episode, the first one featuring a friend, and that's David, Silent David, who's going to actually talk to us today, I think. Maybe. Or it may be a really short episode of Meet the Dubs. So, David and I have known each other for just about a year now. We met at Toylanta last year, so at the beginning of March, and didn't know each other at all before that. No social media or anything. Like, never met in any form or fashion. And have formed a very good relationship, really a brotherhood over the last year. And a lot of times you see us hanging out and getting up to foolishness. But I would think it would be it'd be cool to talk to David a little bit about what he collects, since you see a lot of my stuff and you see a lot of stuff we do together, but only here and there you've seen some of his collections. So, David, what is your favorite thing to collect?
It's a tie between Turtles and Deadpool.
Turtles and Deadpool. Now, I've shown you a little bit about that, about his collection. Is it basically everything in those categories?
Kind of, because of the space I have to be selective of what I have, and I also don't just want to pick up what you would call sporadic pickups, or
just to be picking
impulse
wise.
Yeah, I want what I collect to actually have either meaning or somewhat of a value to it, to be where like people come over and see it and be like, oh wow, that's really cool. Not something that they see everywhere at like Walmart or Target.
But you also collect stuff because of ideas you have for your collection, right? Like, because you don't have every Deadpool Marvel Legends ever, but you bought like that rainbow 3 3/4 Deadpool pack when it got cheap, which maybe falls in the category you're talking about, except that you had plans to use it. So
yeah, I mean, some of the stuff I do buy might not display, but I'll buy for pictures or to use in dioramas.
So why did you buy all of those 12-inch Deadpools that one particular day that everybody has asked me that question on the video?
Because I'm gonna take a picture of them twerking.
Oh, twerking. Yeah, that's good. So you are recently married after being in a long-term relationship with Megan for a decade or so. What does your wife fuss at you ever about your collection, or does she get mad at you because you collect?
She doesn't get mad. There's a very, and I guess this is what you have to do when you get into a relationship. You have to not so much set boundaries, but just let your partner or whatever know exactly what you're about. I mean, if you're passionate about something, you're not going to cut that out of your life just to be with that significant other. That's like,
nor should they want you to.
No. I mean, any healthy relationship is a give and take. I mean, she does things that I'm not necessarily interested in, but if it makes her happy, that should make you happy too. So there shouldn't be an issue.
Right, and there's times, every once in a while you'll see it on an episode of Dub Life, but there's, just as you heard Victoria talk about, there's things we do where we're hanging out together that are not anywhere close to the world of figures or collecting, or we go see movies together, or hang out with our parents, or like there's things like that even in our relationship, because it can't just always be about this. In fact, most of the time it doesn't need to be about this. It needs to be about the other stuff in our life, and I think that's what makes it really healthy and productive, because at any point, I don't think with any of the people in our lives anyone would question, would we stop all of this if it meant an emergency situation to deal with something else. I think that doesn't even have to be talked about. People know. It's a hobby.
The other thing is just put your priorities first. I mean, if you're, you have your house, you got to pay the bills, make sure everything's taken care of before you go out and buy that figure. It's just prioritizing, and that's part of being an adult. So.
And you have, so another thing, you've got 2 dogs, one very large dog.
Golden Retriever.
And I think that's a topic that maybe I haven't talked about with anybody else, but When I'm at your house, your dogs come into your collection room, and for the most part, they seem to be pretty disciplined. I'm sure that that's not always the case, but what's it like? Does it hamper your collecting at all? Having a big dog that could just rip it all down.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things you plan ahead. I mean, if you have a dog or a small child, you're not going to put very expensive stuff
in their mouth
or being easily accessible to
put
them.
it in the mouth, though.
So it's just one of those things I think common sense just takes over.
Right.
And lets you know. Thankfully, my dogs are very well trained, and that has a lot to do with my wife, because she takes pride in, taking them and training them, doing competition with them and stuff like that.
So one more thing. Let's see what. We recently saw a diorama that you built for Adonis. That is fantastic, and you have a lot of. Artistic is the right word, but I think it's more. You like to do things with your hands. Like that stuff doesn't bother you. So for folks out there who maybe have never done that, never built a diorama or done any custom work or anything like that, but have an interest in it and maybe know that they have some skill set in that, right? What would be like for somebody that's like, I would like to just try doing that? What's some advice you could give them?
Don't over criticize yourself. I mean, everybody starts somewhere, so just jump in. If it's not up to your standards, that's good, because that just pushes you to build something better. And a lot of it comes from experience. I mean, you can't just jump in and be ultimately good at it and not need practice or whatever. Every skill takes time to build up and just be better at it. The other thing is build for yourself. Build stuff that you think is cool. Don't let other people criticize it and tear you down because they don't like it. Not everything's gonna make everybody happy or be like, wow, that's amazing. There's gonna be people out there that are not gonna like it, and that's fine. I mean, as long as you build it for you and you like it and you think, that's what you wanted to come up with, that's all that matters.
And you can't be scared to break it or mess up or whatever. Like, if you've got a really prized figure or whatever, don't let that be the one you're working on first. Work with things that if it breaks or you mess up, no big deal, because it's part of it. It's fun. It's the toy. I obviously don't do it, but I treat all of this the same way. I mean, when my Tony Stark fell and broke, I mean, there are a lot of people in our community that would be mad or ruin their day and stressed out. No big deal. I brought it to David. If he can fix it, great. If he can't, okay, so be it. Life goes on, right? It's not worth getting upset over. And there are probably things you don't want to do first, but do it with things, right, that you don't care.
I mean, my thing with customizing things is I personally don't like to take very high-end figures or stuff like that.
You don't want to take a hot toy completely apart.
No, because to me that's artwork. That's somebody else's artwork, and why should I be messing with their artwork? That's theirs. Right. Like that. Even though I own it, it doesn't give me the right to change their interpretation of that artwork. I mean, I'll have like the original, and maybe I'll go find a bootleg that I can customize, because I know that the bootleg wasn't heart, mind, and soul wasn't put into it. It was just made to be profitable.
Right.
So at that point, I don't feel as bad as tearing it apart or customizing it and stuff like that. So
I think that's a good kind of side before we go. We're so quick in this community, people to be negative and to criticize things. Remember, like, every one of these things, even the low end, even the things below Marvel Legends, somebody is creating that. It's not computer mass generated. It may be mass produced, but somebody is taking the time to draw it out, to sculpt it, to design it, the original product. And somebody was proud of the work they did. We don't know the restraints that were put on them, right? That may be incredible what they did. make a figure that we can sell for $12 that we can make for 25 cents. And what they did was actually unbelievable if you knew what they had to do to create that. And so, like, just because you may not like something or think it's the best representation, still try to find the positive in it, and that somebody worked really hard on that and probably hit an outcome that they were supposed to hit. You know, think about it that way. Think about the like you said, the heart and the soul that goes into creating things like that. I
mean, because even for, you know, a dollar, like if you go to a dollar store and you find these dollar soldiers, you know, the green, I mean, taking a drawing or a sketch and putting it into a 3D world, that takes time. It's not something that you can just like put 20 minutes or 30 minutes into. Like, there's a lot of engineering, hard work that goes into it. And yeah, I mean, it's a dollar pack of soldiers, but I mean, somebody still put time and effort into those.
Right.
And so,
just because it's not the thing you want, which is fine, right, doesn't mean that it's stupid or terrible or whatever. It could just be something that doesn't interest you. That's perfectly fine. We all have different interests. He and I have very different interests in what we collect. So anyway, we got to go because we got a lot of stuff to do, and you've got a day to walk to. So you know what you got to do. Tell them what you're doing. You got to give it to them.
You're rubbing it.
No, sir, that's not how we end Daily Dub. Give it to them. Give them a squeeze it. Now give it to them.
Squeeze it.
Squeeze it.